And now we want to pivot to discuss more about the dire need on the ground in Gaza. Joining us now is the Secretary General of the Norwegian Refugee Council, Egeland. Thank you so much for joining us. What's the reality on the ground with regard to the relief efforts?
Well, it couldn't be worse, really. I have 54 colleagues on the ground inside of Gaza, and they talk about fear beyond belief, devastation beyond belief. There is no place safe. We need a humanitarian ceasefire. We need it now. There is no humanitarian access to people. We are not getting relief into Gaza. A few trucks per day is really nothing compared to these enormous needs of 2.3 million civilians. 1 million of them are children.
You've regularly called for a ceasefire. Have you had any luck at all speaking to world leaders in order to make that any kind of possibility?
Well, we're really trying vis-à-vis the United States, vis-à-vis Germany, United Kingdom, European Union, France, and they all talk that humanitarian access, humanitarian pauses will be imminent. But we're really surprised that they cannot convince their ally Israel of this minimum of demands. Too many children have died, too many people are starving, too many people have no water, too many people are not even able to get the minimum of medical relief.
You talk about the number of children. According to Save the Children, just last week, nearly 40% of the dead in Gaza are children. The total number of dead is now beyond 8,000. The UN has called for what they describe as, quote, the prevention of genocide. Do you think that that's a fair description?
Well, I wouldn't use the genocide word, but I would say that this is not a rational anti-terror operation, and there are many countries who've had horrific terror events in the recent decades. This is a disproportionate response. This is not distinguishing, as one should, according to humanitarian law, between civilians and military target. There is not the precaution that the law either asks for, and there is not the relief that we need as humanitarians on the ground. Our relief workers are fleeing for their lives. One female colleague of mine lost her only child in the Israeli bombing.
You know, I just want to play devil's advocate for a moment when you say that or that it is a disproportionate response, because there are those in Israel who would say, well, if we don't do this, if we don't destroy Hamas entirely, then we're just sitting ducks and we're just waiting for the next attack. What's your response to that? And that therefore that would justify them saying why we cannot have a ceasefire.
Even now that Hamas would potentially blend into the civilian population, one war crime doesn't justify the other. So the point being that you can respond to a military attack, to a terrorist attack, but not killing all of these children. You yourself said so many children are dead. It's clear that it is a disproportionate response. President Biden said, do not act in rage. This looks to be acts in rage, not a targeted, deliberate, systematic anti-terrorist campaign.
You also sent a warning to the U.S., the UK, and the EU about not having their fingerprints on this. Explain exactly what you mean by that.
Well, the U.S. is providing arms for this. The U.S. has asked for humanitarian pauses. They have asked for humanitarian access, which isn't really there. So I would say U.S. and the European allies can now have a responsibility for what happens. It's the ally, Israel, that is undertaking a disproportionate response.
Jan Egeland, Secretary General of the Norwegian Refugee Council, so appreciate your time. Thank you so much for talking with us.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.